That it is 7:30 on Tuesday, March 28th, 2023, and that this regular hybrid meeting is being held via webinar and in person. Both adequate and electronic notice of this meeting were provided according to law by written notice to the Morristown Daily Record, the official newspaper of the town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted in Town Hall and on the town website and filed with the office of the town clerk of the town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. So we'll take a roll call. Councilman Armington.
Here.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Present.
Councilwoman Foster is excused this evening. Councilman Iannacone.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Present.
Councilman Umbriac.
Here.
Council President Mayer.
Here.
Council President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we have a moment of silence, I'm going to ask that we remember the 3 children and 3 adults that died senselessly yesterday due to the mass shooting. I also ask that we keep in mind the law enforcement officers that risk their lives to prevent more death and put their lives on the line each and every day for us. Each council meeting, we ask for a moment of silence, and today is not the first time mentioning and acknowledging a mass shooting in the United States. We sat here on the day of the Uvalde shooting, not realizing how many children and educators had died that awful day. So I'm going to say, how many more will we acknowledge before our leaders in Congress do something to stop this unnecessary and avoidable death? How many more children dying will it take? With that, I'll ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. Thanks. If we could stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Before we get started, please be aware that public comment during the public hearing portion of this meeting will be held both in person and through the Zoom app. At the appropriate time, members of the public wishing to speak should indicate so by raising his or her hand in the app or in chambers. To comment via Zoom, click on the raise your hand icon at the bottom left side of your screen. You may also raise your hand by pressing star 9 on your phone. When it is your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask that you unmute yourself so that you may be heard. To unmute yourself on the phone, press star 6. There are 14 items on the consent agenda this evening. I've been asked by Councilman Silva and Councilman Umbriac to pull numbers 12 and 14 for a separate vote. Are there any others that council would like to consider separately? With that, I would ask for a motion to adopt consent agenda items 1 through 11 and 13.
I'll make a motion to adopt consent agenda 1 through 11 and number 13.
I'll second.
Okay. On that motion, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbriac.
Yes.
Council President Mayer.
Yes.
Number 13 is a facilities use request application. Number 12 is facilities use request application for Rotary Club of Morristown for Original Music Festival on May 28th, 2023 at Lidgerwood Park.
I'll make a motion to adopt consent agenda number 12.
Second.
Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes?
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbriac.
Abstain.
Council President Mayer.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 14, facilities use request application for Central Biblico Hope Day Festival at Caldwell Park and Bishop Nazarene Way parking lot on Saturday, July 29th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to accept consent agenda number 14.
I'll second.
Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Abstain.
Councilman Umbriac.
Yes.
Council President Mayer.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, I will open the floor for a public hearing on any matter. For remote members of the public, please raise your hand in the Zoom app to indicate that you would like to speak. If you've joined the meeting via telephone, press star 9. Kindly state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order. No comments were received via email.
Is there anybody in the public in the 1 o'clock? No? Jillian?
We have one speaker online, Brian Ensley. If you'd please unmute yourself and state your name and address to the record.
Hi, good evening. Brian Ensley, 42 Spring Street, Unit 107.
Mr. Ensley, can you hold on a second, please?
Oh, sure, no problem.
We can hear him.
We can.
We can hear.
All right. Ms. Ensley, you can proceed, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to take this opportunity to comment on a few of the intersections in town, specifically related to pedestrian traffic. I have 3 intersections that I wanted to discuss. First, the intersection of West Park, South Park, and South Street. The second being the new traffic circle, and the last being the intersection at Spring Street and Spring Place. For the first, the intersection of West Park, South Park, and South Street. It's been, I guess, brought to my attention through walking through the town that intersection is a little dangerous for pedestrians, specifically as it relates to crossing to the Roots side of South Street. The 2 traffic lights to proceed on to, or I guess around this circle, the lights change more frequently than the light does for crossing to the Roots side of South Street. It's caused some, I guess, buildup of pedestrian traffic, and when you press the button to cross the street there, it doesn't change immediately. It kind of just yells at you and says, please wait to cross, which leads to the pedestrian traffic building up and not being able to cross the street there. So I'm not sure if the timer on that button could be made faster so that more people can cross the street conveniently. For the second intersection, the traffic circle, I've noticed that the button to cross directly outside of Grasshopper does not work at this time. So I don't know if this would be an opportunity to request for that to be fixed.
Mr. Ensley, if you'll make your complete comments, and then at the end, your conclusion of your comments, and at the conclusion of the public hearing, then the council will respond, so you can continue.
Okay, thank you. My second concern with that traffic circle is the light that's used, the stoplight that's used to cross. I don't know what's necessary for a change, but it seems that the cars don't stop when that light is red, even if there are pedestrians in the middle of that crosswalk. And then, the third intersection of Spring Street and Spring Place, when you when you press the button to cross Spring Street, the light for pedestrians changes to red to cross Spring Place, but the light doesn't change to cross Spring Street immediately, and it takes some time, and hopefully if you're lucky, a car is leaving that the community development up there and or the parking garage of M Station for the light to change for you to cross. But that's all I had, and thank you for giving me the time to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ensley. Council members, there's no other hands raised for public
Yeah,
comment.
Thank you. We'll close public comments now. Anybody want to talk about traffic?
Yeah, I'll talk about traffic. I appreciate you coming, notifying us of these problems. So South Street and South Park Place by Roots, the pedestrian circle by the Grasshopper across Spring Street, across Moore Street, I believe, and Spring Street and Spring Place. And I'll take a look at all three of those. The way that the pedestrian crossings work at these all across town is that the lights are sequenced for when there would be red and when there would be green. And so, and the time when it is green, basically the time to cross, is sequenced with all of the other signals, from a quarter mile back or so that all the traffic flows smoothly. The intent of the pedestrian button is not to automatically turn green for pedestrians, and so. Right.
Pardon me, Council President. Would you mind speaking into the mic? I got a message that it's hard for the people at home to hear you.
All right, so
Thank
should I start
you.
off again? Okay, so thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. We've got the intersection of Spring and Spring Place. We've got the intersection at the crossing at the pedestrian circle at the Grasshopper, and we've got the crossing of South Street at outside of Roots. The intent of the pedestrian crosswalks is to push the button and that activates the timing to when the cycle of pedestrian crossing to red time activates. The green time, which is the pedestrian crossing, is timed so that it co-aligns with the traffic lights up at Washington Street and basically a quarter mile back so that all traffic moves smoothly. It is not intended to push the button automatically that the light turns green for you to cross. It is primarily a system to cue pedestrians so that you can all cross at the same time within that 30-second time period. The problem, the equivalent of that is the crosswalk at Flagler and Speedwell, where there used to be no signal, and it's just a beacon, it used to be a little sign that says pedestrians have the right of way, and there'd be a constant flow of pedestrians all day long, and traffic would back up for miles. So I just wanted to advise you that that's the way those signals work.
Thank you, Mr. Armington.
Interestingly, this is the first complaint we've heard about the circle here at council, I believe. We haven't heard a complaint yet. You have heard another? So let's say it's two. But I will tell you that the feedback that I'm getting is people are generally very happy with that circle and that it's working. And I've never had an adverse experience with it, and I walk through it and I drive through it on a regular basis. Nevertheless, one of the things that I believe we might have, Mayor, and we should check it out maybe in the developers agreement, is, especially when we get the second building up, doing an assessment on the circle and say, does it work the way it was planned to work? I think you're going to find out it might, probably does, but it might be an interesting exercise just to go back and see how do we do. Because I have to tell you, I think it's something that was very innovative. I was not a big proponent of it, and I'll admit it. I was not a big proponent of it, but it's working. It's so far so good. Maybe. But I think at some stage it might be a nice exercise to just go back, look at what the specs were. I don't know, what do you think, Stefan?
There is a provision in the redevelopment agreement for M Station that after 2 years, I believe, the developer needs to assess the feasibility or the safety of the circle, and if it is not safe and if there have been accidents and such, they have to return it to a signalized intersection. There's no defined process for determining that. I would expect that we would look at how many accidents there have been and how many pedestrian crashes, and I'm not aware of any at this point, and so it wouldn't be a full safety evaluation, more focused purely on pedestrian and motor vehicle crashes.
A good indication is when somebody who complained that it was going in now says it's wonderful. And I've gotten that a lot, that they were wrong. So, so far so good. So we're going to close council.
Council President,
Yeah.
the administration would like to address that.
Sure.
Two things to start off with. One, to remind everybody that's a state road, and those lights and timing are handled by the state of New Jersey. I can tell you that there's a guy sitting in the audience named Anthony DeVizio who gets daily calls from me on the timing of those lights and the pedestrian crosswalks. And when there is a problem, he reaches out, or I reach out to the state, and they come up and make sure the timing is correct on those lights. However, I did find out one thing, which is interesting that he brought this up, that you actually have to push the button on the one side by the green to get diagonally across to where Roots is. If you stand there and don't push the button across, it's not going to turn. It doesn't turn. It takes forever to get the walk. You actually have to push the button.
Okay.
There's different timings on it, correct, Anthony?
Yeah, that was purposeful.
Yes, that was purposeful by the state.
Yes.
So I want at least the public to understand that we have some control, but ultimately the control of the timing for pedestrians and light changes is under the DOT, Department of Transportation, the state of New Jersey. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm not sure, I'm going to investigate, Anthony heard it, he'll take a look at a button that pushes across by the grasshopper. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I'll have him look at that. And third thing is, we have found an issue with the circle. The only issue I'm finding is the yield sign at the bottom when you come past the grasshopper is, I think the yield signs need to be a little bit bigger, and they need to be illuminated somehow, so people really see that it's a full yield. It may be like you did in the Third Ward, Councilman, like with the lights.
Right.
With light, when a car came up to the stop sign, they would light. It may be the same thing with the yield sign, that it comes on, so people notice that it's a yield, and they really see it. That is really the only issue. The other issue we talked about was the people crossing by Deloitte. That light doesn't stop. It really flashes very brightly. And I have experienced it many times where cars do stop and pedestrians cross from Deloitte, many at a bunch too, because a lot of them come into town during lunch break and morning break. But we will look at it, we will evaluate it, we'll keep an eye on it, we'll talk to the developer about the issues that were brought up. But if you feel there's a timing issue with the lights and the pedestrian crosswalk, send us an email. You can email the town engineer his email is?
Let's make it easy and can send it to administrator at Town of Mars.
There you go. And ask for us to look at the timing, and Anthony will then send it off to Trenton to make sure they look at the timing of the lights and the pedestrian crosswalks to make sure they're right. You know, you could have found a problem that we were not aware of. So we will have our town engineer notify DOT to make sure that all those lights and crosswalks are synchronized correctly on the way the program is for up at the state roads. I think that addresses all three. Sir, thank you.
Mayor, I just want to say something
Yes.
about because I've actually used the crossing from Grasshopper across the street to the ice cream shop, to Beanie's across the street. So when you push the button, this yellow flashing, right? Now, sometimes cars don't stop, but I've been there and I've pointed up to it like it's flashing yellow. So, yeah, it's...
Right. The challenge with the pedestrian understanding, and this was a product of the planning board approval, is that there are two types of signals there, depending on the concentration of the crossing that was determined. There's the full hawk signal, which is
Right.
what we have over on Flagler Street currently. Where you push the button, it turns red, it's all red, and then it flashes red, and then it turns green. The other one is just flashing yellow. It's a warning that there are pedestrians there.
Right.
The difference is the flashing yellow signal is about $100,000. The full hawk signal is $250,000, and it was based on pedestrian counts with input from the CNI. And basically, the location where the hawk signals are the primary routes where the
Correct.
CNI crosses.
Right, so we'll look into that tomorrow. We'll have the engineering look into the light, make sure it's working correctly, and then have that report for you at the next council meeting. That's it.
Thank you. Would you like to continue with report from the mayor?
Could have just kept going.
Keep going.
And easy, right? Okay. Want to thank those who showed up, council people, and the Morristown Housing Authority for the renovation celebration at 29 Ann Street. We rededicated the building. They did an outstanding job with the day room and the apartments, and our seniors seemed awful happy. So we were really happy about that. Again, thank you to Keith Kennard, the Executive Director of the Morristown Housing Authority, and the Town Council for working with the Housing Authority to make this possible, to give our seniors and eventually Manningham Village quality of living that they deserve. So again, hats off to MHA and for all the hard work that you guys did, especially we had some MHA guys on the board, on the council, and for Keith Kennard's hard work on making that happen. Saturday, March 18th, we had the Whippany River cleanup. Nathan, Councilman Umbriack, anybody else there? I think that was it, right, Councilman? So we were down there with the river cleanup again. We reported to our police department any areas that we saw that were a little bit more garbage than should have been. So they are now aware of some areas that they are now making sure that that's not the case. So we appreciate the police department. And thank you, Nathan, and your family for chipping in and cleaning up. It was a good turnout.
Very good turnout.
And they do a great job. They go all the way up Patriots Path. They go past on Caldwell Park. They go up the river. They did a great job, and that's put on also with Bethel, Pastor Williams and his team, and Whippany River Watershed and their team, and a lot of volunteers. So thank you very much for that. Monday, March 20th, some council members were at the Hyatt. I want to recognize Chief Richardson. He's here. Public Safety Director Mike Cochran, and the council for attending. The MPD had the swearing-in ceremony at the Hyatt. It was well attended, and it was really good.
It was great.
I thought it was really good. So thank you, Chief, for putting on a great night. To really, the way I perceive it was to really bring something together in a department, especially in law enforcement, that is good to see. So thank you very much for that. On Tuesday, March 21st, we had a senior pedestrian safety presentation. Thank you to Sinead Green and the Senior Services, our Public Safety Director, Michael Cochran, and Avenues in Motion for organizing the event. It was attended by our seniors, and I believe it was put on by ex-police?
Yes, sir. Retired police officer.
Retired police officer, so it was engaging, and it's always good for our seniors for pedestrian safety. I actually got a text today. Someone actually texted me around 6 o'clock and heard that I got run over or was run down on South Street.
Oh, my.
I was walking and a car ran me over or something. Somebody put out something that the mayor got hit walking as a pedestrian or something. I'm not sure what it was. I'm glad Kev's not here. The headlines would have read something different. But, he's online? Sorry, Kev, don't print that. But I did get a text, and I sent back, no, I'm okay. So the mayor's okay, didn't get run over as a pedestrian. Grand opening, those who can make it, Thursday, the 30th. I like actually saying this, effing egg.
Yep.
Effing egg. Effing egg, I could say that, right? It's pretty cool, right? Effing egg is doing the ribbon cutting at 2 o'clock. I've heard good reports. They are opening. They are open.
Yep.
Their address is 30 Morris Street. You can't miss it. F and A. EFFIN for those who want to know the spelling.
How is that spelled?
FEFFIN.
Okay.
2 p.m. March 30th at 30 Morris. Please join us if you can. If you're in town, please join us. It really should be a lot of fun, and we look forward to it. It's great when another place like the Breakfast Place opens up like that. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Saturday, April 8th, this has been canceled. It was scheduled for this Saturday. The Easter egg hunt is moved to April 8th, 10 a.m. So please send your emails out to your constituents. April 8th, 10 a.m., Easter egg hunt. And the final announcement, Police Sergeant Brendan Briscoe is retiring after 25 years of service with the town. He started as a police officer in January 1998, and we wish him all the best in his retirement. So we just wanted to make a public announcement with that, and wish him well in his retirement, and look forward to seeing him before he goes. And I think that is all I have, Council President.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else? Oh, yes, one more thing,
Sure.
the trash bags. So, unbeknownst to our business administrator, what?
That's a new inspector.
New inspectors, unbeknownst to our administrator, the inspectors have been issuing trash citations without our postcards going out, without authorization from the business administrator. I have received a few emails. I have talked to the town attorney about it, and I have asked him what the next step should be. He's going to, do you want to take over what you're...
Certainly. I'm going to speak with the municipal prosecutor first thing tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask him that any tickets that have been written in the last couple of days, that they be dismissed until we have such time to do proper notice to everyone.
Yes, we, touch base on it?
Sure. We are in the process of sending postcards out to every resident in town, notifying them about the trash code. We'll go through that process for a while, and we'll also make sure that we issue warnings before any summonses are issued. So I will say I apologize for anyone who's gotten summonses in advance of that, but we are in the process of actively getting the word out.
So we will get the word out, and you will not get a ticket immediately. You will get notice of a warning. But as an ordinance that the town council passed, voted on unanimously, and we'll, you know, our job is to enforce the ordinances, the laws that you make. So just to let people know that a few people that have received a summons that you heard what the town attorney said. He's going to talk to the prosecutor's office and recommend they be dismissed, but look forward to the postcard. Take heed, because it is a law now in the books of Morristown, and as the administration, we are required to enforce it unless you change it.
So will that be posted also on the website, that if you've gotten a ticket, you could, dismiss?
Sure, we can do that.
So
Because people aren't listening, aren't on the call.
Yeah.
if they're contesting the ticket, they're still going to have to appear, but at that point, the prosecutor will be notified that we're recommending that it be dismissed. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll post it.
Okay, thank you.
Postcards in Spanish?
Of course.
Yes. Yes, double-sided.
Double-sided. Of course.
Por supuesto.
Of course. Of what is it?
Por supuesto.
Por supuesto. Okay.
Ooh, Nathan.
Those cervezas, por favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready to move on to council liaison reports. Tawana, why don't you go first? Do you have a report for
I
Tawana?
actually don't have one.
Okay, never mind. Bob Iannico, do you have a report for
I
housing?
actually do.
Okay, let's do that.
Housing Authority met last night at its new offices, which are here on the fourth floor of Town Hall. They did not have great notice as to where the location was on the website and what have you. That's something that has to be fixed, and Keith is aware of that. Improvements at 31 and 39 Early Street continue. The residents at 39 Early Street are now in the process of being moved into hotels in groups, and their units are in the process of being renovated. They're taking an apartment. This is pretty exciting. They're taking an apartment in Manahan Village. They're going to build it out as a model for what the renovations are going to look at, so the tenants can start seeing what the renovation is going to look like in Manahan Village. As the mayor mentioned, the rededication was warmly welcomed by the seniors over on Ann Street. And it's also nice to see that they're starting to get back to their active schedule of activities, particularly down at the Sally Center. It's nice to see that those activities are starting to return. The executive director is working with the board to basically reestablish the committees. The committees have been not functioning for a while in the Housing Authority. He's going to get those committees reactivated. And a lot of this, I think, is due to there's some very good board participation at the board meetings. And I think there's quite a bit of conversation going on with reference to, what is the new role of the Housing Authority. So along those lines, what Keith is planning on doing is a retreat, with the board to basically kind of say, okay, what is the role of this board, given the new ownership structure of the housing complexes? And I think it's going to be a very welcome, and it's going to be something that's going to really, I think, put the Morristown Housing Authority on its new course in the context of the new ownership. They do recognize that their primary responsibility is monitoring the Section 8 vouchers throughout town, not just the vouchers that are associated with the housing, but all Section 8 vouchers throughout the town. People, I think, are surprised to hear that there's 140 non-public housing, former public housing units, Section 8 vouchers throughout the city. So we have a very robust program. A lot of responsibility associated with monitoring that program, and that is what Keith and this board is primarily responsible for. And again, I give a lot of credit to the board members. They've been asking for financials for quite a while, regular financials produced on a monthly basis. They did get those financials year-to-date through fiscal year-to-date through February. Those financials will be reviewed at the next meeting in detail, which is good. And one of the things that there's a good dialogue going on also with the Housing Authority is, now that the Housing Authority is out of the ownership and management of these buildings, how do you create regular dialogue between the property managers and the residents and the tenants? And so that is an ongoing discussion. Items being considered are things like formal or informal tenant associations, and/or the possibility of having a section of the board meeting itself actually be with the landlord and with the management company at that meeting, so you could have back-to-back meetings, something like that. So, I think it's moving.
Thank you. Good.
Nice report. Mr. Hamilton? I don't have anything. Nothing.
Okay, moving on to regular business. Margo?
I'm not ready.
You're not ready.
So fast.
It's the last.
Okay. There's one ordinance on the agenda for introduction, and that's ordinance O-8-2023, an ordinance repealing ordinance O-40-2020, vacating a 16-foot wide right-of-way along the northerly property line of Block 6003, Lot 14, pursuant to and in accordance with NJSA 40:67-1 et sec.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance O-8-2023.
Second.
Roll call, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbreak.
Yes.
Council President Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, are there any comments or questions from council? Ordinance O-8-2023 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on April 11th. There are no ordinances for public hearing and adoption. There are 5 resolutions on the agenda. Would any member of council like to pull any for separate consideration? Okay, I would ask for a motion to adopt resolutions R-46, 2023 through R-50, 2023.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolutions R-46, 2023 through 50-2023.
I'll second.
Okay, on that motion, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbreak.
Yes.
Council President Mayor.
Yes.
Motion carries. Those resolutions are adopted.
We'll go to Burnham Park. There's no unfinished old business? No?
Just one follow-up on the trash bag issue. As I recall, when the first problem occurred, the fees for the summonses were waived, but because it's a mandatory court hearing, there were court fees. Is there a way to essentially? I understand the hearing still has to happen. Is there a way to facilitate Zoom hearings with no court fees?
We can certainly We can ask, but where I can speak to the prosecutor and give a recommendation.
Yes.
The court ultimately is going to the court is, it's autonomous.
Yes.
And if they want to issue court fees, they can. We can certainly request that they don't.
Okay.
But and I certainly will make that request.
Okay.
But I can't say with certainty that they will
I
honor
appreciate
that. Yeah.
Thank you.
On that, I will make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.